You're listening to Greater LA on KCRW. I'm Steve Chiatakis. And now, off to Pillar Point Harbor in Half Moon Bay up in Northern California.
On a day like today, there's no wind, there's some great swells, and we have the opportunity to go on a jet ski, and I'm going to be able to ride some really long swells and just go soar like the pelicans.
That's Hawaiian big wave surfer Kai Lenny. He's the ultimate waterman, kite surfing, free diving, stand-up paddleboarding. He does it all. And in the last couple of years, he's become the face of a new type of surfing. It's called hydrofoiling. And that's what he's going to do here today.
The coolest thing about the hydrofoil is the ability to ride the biggest waves in the world, the smallest waves in the world, no waves. Just be out on the water and enjoy it.
A hydrofoil is kind of like a surfboard, but you can ride it just about anywhere there's water. You don't need waves. And that's huge for Southern California. Since the pandemic began, local surf lineups have become so overcrowded. They're like gladiator pits. With a hydrofoil, you get to skip all that. The whole ocean becomes your playground. Well, about 3 years ago, there were hardly any foilers in Southern California. Today, however, there are hundreds. But, there's always a but, hydrofoiling isn't for everyone. It's difficult to learn, it's expensive, and injury to yourself or others or marine creatures around you is a real risk. Reporter Adriana Cargill went out foiling to see what this new type of surfing is all about, and she brings us this story.
The first time you see a hydrofoil, you'll probably be like, that thing? How could that small, weird-looking piece of metal lift a 160-pound adult out of the water and allow them to fly? I'm no physics expert, but it seems to defy gravity.
Yeah, so the hydrofoil, if you ever looked at the top of a house and you see an antenna, kind of looks like an antenna right now because it's sitting on the ground. There's a small board approximately 4 feet long. The mast, which is the long fin that comes out of the board, is about 30 inches tall.
The board sits on top of the mast, and at the bottom is the actual hydrofoil.
Basically, the best way to describe a hydrofoil is it's an underwater airplane. And so you have a front wing that creates a lot of lift, and you have a back wing as a stabilizer.
When water runs over those wings, it pushes the board up and out of the water, about a foot or two, making it look like the rider is actually flying over the water. Like how a normal airplane lifts when it takes off. The hydrofoil was developed by the U.S. military over 100 years ago to make torpedo boats faster. But it wasn't until more recently that people started putting hydrofoils on boards for recreation. People like Kai Lenny. He didn't pioneer the idea, but he's credited with making it more mainstream. In 2017, he and his brother started the Hydrofoil Company, which designs hydrofoil boards. One of Kai's big innovations was a board that lets you paddle into waves on your own. Previous hydrofoil designs required the rider to be strapped in and then towed into a wave. Right now, Kai's putting his together.
You don't have a star key, do you?
He's going out today to Black Hand Reef, just to the side of Mavericks, the legendary big wave spot.
It's ready to rumble. We should get out there.
He's going to be towed into the waves by a jet ski. And those waves are somewhere in the 20 feet tall range today. So it can get pretty dicey pretty quickly out there.
There you go. Here we go.
Kai throws his board into the water.
Time to foil and not get my hair wet. Don't want to get the hair wet. So if you just idle for it, I'll just skim off.
He grabs the tow rope and steps onto the board as the jet ski leaves the dock.
Keep going, keep going.
The hydrofoil lifts out of the water, and Kai hangs onto the rope as the jet ski drags him along. He's suspended about a foot above the water, and it honest to God looks like he's levitating. It's pretty mind-boggling. They head straight out to where the waves are breaking, and whip the ski around, throwing Kai into a 10-foot tall wave about to break. Instead of making the wave, Kai falls off his board. He's hit kelp. One downside to foiling is that it can get caught on sea life. On occasion, Foilers have also hit sharks, turtles, or other creatures because when this thing gets going, it goes really fast, up to 40 miles per hour. Kai's now being towed into a 15-foot plus wave. He lets go of the tow rope and starts carving up and down its face. He moves so fast it's hard to even clock what he's doing. The foil cuts through the water like a hot knife through butter. It looks like he's dancing on the wave. Kai gets wave after wave as the sun begins to set.
Are we calling it?
Yeah, I think so.
It's getting dark.
She said she wanted to get behind the rope.
All right, you ready?
I did not say that. Not out here.
No, not out here.
Back in LA, I decided to give it a try myself. So I found Peter de Avila, who teaches hydrofoiling lessons in Marina del Rey.
Morning. Good morning.
Here's his basic tips on riding the foil.
This is completely different. This is its own balance. You can't compare it to anything. So the three angles you're dealing with are pitch, roll, and all, just like an airplane. Exactly, so you're basically flying an airplane with your feet.
There's no one out on the Santa Monica Bay this warm and windless Tuesday morning. When it's my turn, holy schmoly is this hard. I get to my feet and stay there for a while, but never get the foil to lift out of the water. It's not like paddle and surfing at all. It really is the art of trying to stay still, while you're balancing on something that feels like a unicycle. Ari Soffer is one of Peter's former students, and he says it took him about a year to learn, but he's a huge fan, even after getting pretty injured.
I dislocated my shoulder like a few months ago. We were doing a downwind run I think we were going from Leo Carrillo down to Zuma.
Ari foils with a wing, which is basically like a sail for a windsurfer, so he doesn't need any waves at all. The wing catches the wind, and it powers him through the water.
And it was super windy and gusty. I actually fell in the water, and then the wind whipped up, and I had the leash attached to my left arm, and the thing like flew over my head and just pulled my arm out of socket.
Now, Ari clips his wing to his life vest instead of his arm. Christian Schubin is the owner of Poseidon Paddle and Surf in Santa Monica, one of the only places in Los Angeles that sells hydrofoils. He says injury risk, difficulty, and the cost are why he thinks hydrofoiling will remain a niche sport. The gear can run between $2,000 and $4,000 to start. But despite all the downsides, Ari says it gives the rider one undeniable upside: the feeling of freedom.
Dude, this is the most revolutionary thing ever. You can literally, with the wing, flies on the wind, it floats, puts no strain on you, and you can use the same thing to power you out into the ocean. It's like the most unbelievable freeing thing, and then you can ride for miles. It's the best feeling ever, just being able to get onto a swell and ride from way out in the ocean, like for an unlimited amount of time. It's like amazing.
Riding free, with no crowds, for miles, for that, I definitely give hydrofoiling another try. For Greater LA, I'm Adriana Cargill.